Hey guys, today I was fired from Facebook as an ex Google tech lead. So there I was just minding my own business, right? Going around eating my free food, drinking my free coffee, and I must have been on like my third cup of coffee here when suddenly I get an email from HR. And normally I would have just ignored this, except I was pretty much done with my coffee and I thought, fine, why don't I just go have a friendly chat with HR, like I always do. And what happened was they told me that they didn't really like my YouTube show where I'm always talking about how I'm an ex Google tech lead, and they were wondering why couldn't I mention that I'm also an ex Facebook tech lead, and they wanted to see that happen. So they told me that it would be a conflict of interest if I remained because I could not fulfill that portion of the bargain. So I needed to leave. And so I did. Which is pretty cool because that makes me not only an ex Google tech lead, but also an ex Facebook tech lead. Now, I know that everybody is shocked. And at a dire time like this, I feel like what we really need to do is just take a pause and thank our sponsor, squarespace.com/techlead. Ready to start your next business? Make it with Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your next business. Get a free 2-week trial and 10% off at squarespace.com/techlead. Now, the timing could not have actually been better because I was starting to actually saturate on that ex-Google tech lead keyword. And, the YouTube algorithm it just needs more content here. And also there are a few pros and cons here, right? Actually, one of the good parts is that since my wife recently left me, I don't have to explain any of this to her. Normally, I would have to put on some sort of charade in which I would have to pretend that I would still be going to work every day, where instead I would actually go to like a cafe or something like that and read up on classifieds. But I don't have to do that. There's no explanation needed. In a sense, I'm almost glad that my wife left me before any of this happened, so I just don't have to explain any of this. Now, on the other side, the con is that I've lost my job. So here's what happened. I was called into this room with HR, the director, and all the windows were blacked out. And they told me that they didn't really like my YouTube show, which is absolutely surprising, right? Like, who doesn't like this stuff? So here's what I was told at orientation, that if you're currently running a blog, podcast, YouTube show, whatever it is, then go ahead and continue running it. They don't have a problem with that. But they told me that since I was starting to monetize, then that would not be okay. So as long as your blog, podcast, social media is not popular, as long as it's pretty bad and nobody's watching it, then that's fine. They don't care about that. But if you start getting some success and you start getting views and you're monetizing, then that's going to be a problem. And then we were in this debate about whether podcasts are monetizing or not. And I would say, well, I think podcasts are monetizing. Most are. And they'd say, no, they're not. They're not monetizing. And I told them, look, I don't work for free and I don't do open source. For a social media company that is always encouraging people to post about themselves, I find this surprising when they don't like social media. And overall, I think that this sends the wrong message. In tech, we have a talent shortage. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with telling people about what they need to know, what requirements they need. About like data structures, coding, algorithms, teamwork tips, communication tips, how to work with people, all of this general advice, and letting them know what it means to have good communication skills, what does it mean to have good teamwork skills. Now, take note that I have never leaked any confidential information. I work very hard to not leak that stuff. I have access to so much of it and I never reveal any of that because, number one, I don't think it really helps anybody to know the pure specifics, but I do think it helps people to know general information that I may have picked up over my personal years of experience. It is really what a good career coach or mentor may be able to do to help guide young people along their career paths, just to make sure that they're learning things properly, right? Learning the right frameworks, learning the right technologies, having better understanding of what interviewers and companies are looking for. So by the way, if you want to learn that stuff, check it out, techinterviewpro.com. I'll get you guys set up, fast track your career. So, I took great care in never misrepresenting the company. I made sure all of the views were my own. So it's just dismaying to hear that, hey, if you work in tech and you have a Twitter, a LinkedIn, a Facebook, a blog, a podcast, YouTube show, then you could be in danger of losing your job. And they didn't even give me a warning about any of this. They just told me, you're done. And to be on the safe side, you could run your blog, but it better not be about tech, your passion, coding. right? Make it about cooking, skiing, or 5-minute DIY crafts, which I might just start getting into now. But whatever it is, if you're passionate about coding and that's all you want to talk about, we don't want you, right? They don't want you. Now, there's something you need to understand. I was working as a staff software engineer. The salary was north of 500K. I was honestly getting a little bit worried that I would be working until I died because they got death benefits too. So there was no way out for me. Like, I'm just not going to walk away from a job like that. I'm too cheap. I can't leave that much money on the table. And I was just thinking, how can I get out of this? So when the problem or opportunity presented itself to me, I didn't even bother arguing it or fighting it. I just said, when do I get started, right? When can I get out of here? Is it in 2 weeks? And they said, no, today. I was like, okay. And I actually felt a bit of relief. I mean, these are golden handcuffs. They're called that for a reason. So I had been working 80-hour weeks, which was crazy. Like, it was just not sustainable. In my mind, the writing was probably on the wall. For the past few months, I've just had no time to relax, play games, watch movies. I wasn't able to do any of this stuff, and I had no free time. Now, I've been thinking that maybe I should just jump straight back into the job market, maybe find a smaller company that's not so paranoid. But I'm not sure I want to do that quite yet, and I think that overall, a company like Facebook or Google, these two companies have prided themselves on transparency internally, right? They're not like Apple where they just silo employees off because they can't trust the employees. If you're going to hire someone, you should trust them. So, I mean, come on, we're not Apple here. But overall, you have to remember that I have been working about 5 years straight. Before any of this began, I have been like traveling the world. So I really began to miss my free time, and quite likely I would be taking a break for a while at least. And you have to also remember that I am financially independent. I retired like 10 years ago actually, and I can just sustain myself indefinitely within this car. I could just sleep here, live here. Like, this is shelter. So overall, I knew that coming into a job like this, it would not be something I could walk away from. And the only way out would be either getting laid off or fired. So somewhere in my mind, I always knew that this would be the way that I would go. Now, I have a question for you guys. Seeing that I have lost my wife and my family and my job, have I hit rock bottom? Let me know in the comments below, because I really want to know, did I hit rock bottom here? Because there's always further that you can fall, and in every problem there's some opportunity. But if there's just a little bit more to go, then I might be willing to go down to reach that before I begin my ascent back up. But let me know what you think I should do. I'm thinking I'll take a vacation, maybe take a break. And I want to say, if this is concerning to you, if you fear that this could happen to you someday, then I really want to encourage you to look into starting a side business, some side hustle. That is, in my opinion, one of the only ways to really safeguard yourself against life events like this, potential layoffs, being fired, some issue cropping up at work, or maybe if you just want a voluntary career change. So are you ready to start your next business? Make it with squarespace.com/techlead. Squarespace empowers creative people to succeed. Every day they help millions of dreamers, doers, and makers by providing them with the tools they need to bring their ideas to life. On Squarespace's all-in-one platforms, you can create a custom website, claim a domain, sell online, and market a brand. Their suite of products combines cutting-edge design and world-class engineering, making it easier than ever to establish and own your online presence. So check them out for all of your online web needs. Get a free 2-week trial plus 10% off at squarespace.com/techlead. That'll do for me. Give the video a like and subscribe. I'm really going to need those likes and subscribes now because this is my only source of income.